And Daniel Court, the red lights are on and go out, and it's a good start from the poleman Martin West, a dreadful start from Daniel Sibbons alongside, and a very good start from Jonathan Listetter, the championship leader, who won all the races at Croft, which was a triple header. He is there in second position, and now a challenging for the lead as he looks up the inside of Martin West, but he can't quite get through. West, the former low-cost champion, then leads the way with Listetter there in second place as they head out of the banking and up towards Church Corner for the first time. And these low-cost chassis cars, which will give off a big tow now, we will see if Martin West can hang on as they get to the top of the hill into the left-hander at Rocket. A big moment there for the third place car of David Mason as he got a little bit too close to the back of Listetter, who's gone down the inside of Martin West, so it's side by side for the leader. Lock up for Listetter, and both the leaders are going to go off the circuit here, so David Mason will come alongside on the grass. On the inside is West. To the outside now comes the slow start in Daniel Sibbons, but it is Listetter who got through into the lead there, Johnny, but it was quite aggressive there.
Yeah, well, sometimes you've just got to force the issue a little bit with cars left, right and centre, and also if you strike right at the start and then can start to build a gap. It's only a 15-minute race, remember, so it is about trying to come up with a pre-race strategy and try and stamp that out as quickly as possible. So Listetter leading the way for the first time down towards the hairpin, but in typical Ma7da 7 fashion. Tyres still coming up to temperature, quite evidently, because you hit the middle pedal and there was a big lock-up from at least two of them.
Yeah, David Mason, who's got himself into second position there, almost running to the back of Listetter. So the big loser there at that moment up at the top of the hill was the pole position man, Martin West, who has dropped to third position, but he's got a good run as they come out of the final corner. West was on pole this morning by nearly 8/10 of a second in only his second meeting in the championship. Former low-cost champion Martin West has upgraded his car to these Ma7da MX-5 engine and running gear that these cars have, and he goes up the inside and gets second position away from David Mason, and he knows he needs to get through because the trip free time race winner from Croft, John Listetter, starting to pull clear then on this second lap of the race, but now into second has come Martin West. Can he hang on though by the time they get up to the top of the hill, because we know, Johnny, these cars give off a big tow.
Yeah, they're not particularly slippery through the air, and therefore if you can get underneath a car in front, then that really does increase your top speed. David Mason trying to do that, but so is the guy over his right shoulder, who is Daniel Sibbons, and if Sibbons can stay there, which he can't, that's where the cars ran off the road on the opening lap. Sibbons might have been able to stab down the inside at Rocket and then secure the move through the next right-hander at Peel, but he's going to have to wait at least one more lap in order to do that. Lissetter's not quite making the break that I had expected. We're going to head now down the hill, which is an awkward approach to Siemens, the left-hander. Listetter just about finding the apex. Also a nice dice further back from this leading quartet for fifth position. David Bowen, Lucas Batt and Ben Powdy all hard at it.
Yeah, David Bowen doing a really good job. He's pretty new to racing. I think he started here a year ago pretty much at Anglesey. A big slide there for David Mason, who's in third position up over the curbs out of the hairpin. But the lead of the race, Martin West, to the outside of John Listetter, who defends as they come into the final corner here at the bus stop, and West is hanging on round the outside, sideways out over the curbs, but the inside line still had for Listetter. Surely West can't go all the way around the outside at turn one, can he, Johnny?
He can. He's just gone out of view, annoyingly, but there he is again, and yes, keeping it just about on track inside the white line. Now needs to find the apex at the banking to make sure that Listetter can't reverse the favour. And now Listetter, if anybody's on the back foot, because David Mason got a cracking exit out of the banking and into Church Corner. So Listetter to Mason is nothing at all. And Sibbons really needed to be part of this as well, because there must be about 10 car lengths now between the top three and that fourth place car. They're all trying to occupy the left-hand part of the circuit up towards the braking area for Rocket.
Yeah, Martin West knows what happened on the first lap, and he doesn't want that to happen again, so he managed to hold off Listetter after that good move he did at the start of the lap, round the outside at turn one. You don't see that particularly often, but Listetter managed it, and here comes now David Mason with a big bold move up the inside into Peel as he takes second position away then from Listetter, who was the champion a couple of seasons ago in Ma7da 7s. No, last season, 2022, when Leicester won the championship. And he's not running the number 1 this year. That's what confused me. But it's his traditional car number. This race not going so well. He won all the races at Croft. He didn't qualify particularly well, down in 4th place. Had that great first lap, but now he's starting to drop back. And there's that battle for 5th place that Johnny mentioned a moment ago, where it looks like Lucas Batter's got himself up into 5th position. So that's a really good effort there from Lucas, who his best result at Croft was a 7th position, but he's running up there in 5th now, ahead of Ben Powney, who's won a lot of these races in the past and does a lot of the promotion for the championship. And now Ben Powney is alongside Lucas Batt, heading up towards the left-hander at turn 1. Both these cars, out of a lot of them in the field actually, are run by Team Sellers Racing, and Ben Powney has got himself up into 5th.
Yeah, so Powney in the kind of copper-coloured car with the black underfloor, the orange roll cage. In fact, 2 cars with an orange roll cage, which is awkward for car ID. But Lucas Batt, with the brighter of the roll cages, has now dropped back to 6th position and behind Powney. Car 37 and 66 almost as one. They've got David Bowen for company as well. I noticed Martin Shelton is getting larger in their mirrors, so not too far away from another 4-car Ma7da 7 freight train to enjoy for 5th place. And Ben Powney is actually trying to check out as quickly as he can. As he goes into Rocket, frustratingly for him, you can see the other 4-car assembly, if you like, coming out of Rocket as he's going into it, and he would much prefer to be right with Daniel Sibbons, who's currently in 4th place. You don't get a lot of time to play with, though, in these races. The first lap or so, maybe lap and a half, is untangling one another from your starting grid, and then it starts to establish a bit of a rhythm. But Martin West at the moment has enough of a buffer. David Mason, having worked his way into 2nd place, trying to close in.
And they make their way then towards the end of lap 4 of this race. I thought Martin West ran a little bit wide there at the hairpin, so we'll see when they come back into view, and he locks up into the bus stop, which doesn't seem to have held him back too much. And David Mason there in 2nd position, and for David Mason, his best result at Croft was a 5th, so he'll be really pleased to be running there in 2nd position. Will Mason, then Liceta is there in 3rd place, but we've just seen, I think, a new fastest lap for the leader, Martin West, a 1 minute 42.32 as he pulls clear. Battles are behind. There's David Bowen, who I said was going well. We didn't see him within the top 10 at Croft, but he's up there in 7th position, ahead of Martin Shelton, who did finish actually on the podium in the 3rd of the races in Yorkshire. So there, that battle goes through Church Corner for 7th position. David Bowen ahead, the business owner from Kent, so another driver who's had a long way to go, and another former radio control champion moving into car racing recently. But Martin Shelton goes up the inside. He brakes late. Does he get the car turned in enough though, Johnny?
Yeah, just about. The good news for him is the next corner is the long right-hander at Rocket, but he's run a touch wide, and that is going to allow Bowen back up the inside on the short run between Rocket and Peel. Good drive through the 2nd portion of Rocket. Almost, well, they were side by side again coming out of Peel, but it was front wheels level with Bowen's rears, and that's not quite enough for Martin Shelton. I was mightily impressed with the car style of Martin Shelton, though. Coming out of turn 1 at the start of this lap, he was properly with the tail fully out and over the curbs. And Shelton's got a quick car beneath him. He's going to try and move again at the inside of the hairpin, and will be able to pick Bowen off for the 2nd time on the same lap. Can he stay there this time?
We shall see. The cars this year are on different tyres, which perhaps don't give as much grip as the machines last year. And the cars have got a little bit more power. And I think this is really what's developing the cars into sliding around. And the drivers at Croft, at the very least, were very much enjoying that. It's certainly entertaining to watch, Johnny, isn't it? Side-by-side, sideways racing.
Jonathan Liceta having a bit of a nibble again on the tail of David Mason. But as Liceta was attacking there and had to get out of it, all of a sudden the pendulum swings in the favour of Daniel Sibbons. He's got a better run out of the banking and through Church Corner, but really 2nd, 3rd and 4th staying together. The quickest car out there right now is Liceta in the green and white machine, number 71, last year's champion. and just trying to get his way by David Mason. If he could do that, I think he might be able to make a break for the race lead.
Yeah, I don't think the fastest lap graphic is quite accurate, because actually the fastest lap has just gone to Ben Powney in 5th position, a 1 minute 41.99, which is about half a second faster than anybody else ahead of him. So how far is he behind this group? About 2 seconds going on to this, the 6th lap of the race. But Ben Powney, who didn't have a great qualifying or start to the race, is coming strong now, which isn't particularly surprising for somebody who's won races in the category in the past. Now, is there a yellow flag up at the top of the hill there? Possibly in the background. Anyway, we can see if anything comes of that. But this battle for 2nd position continues. David Mason is certainly under threat from Liciter. Mason is sideways out over the curbs yet again. That just seems to be a feature of this race, doesn't it? Seeing cars get there sideways. So 5 minutes to go. So that'll probably be about 3 laps for Martin West, the race leader. But for 2nd place and for 4th position, Johnny, those battles very much coming strong.
Liciter so wide coming out of the bus stop and now through turn 1. It's side by side between Powney and Batt in the background as well. Powney is able to fend off Lucas Batt for 4th and 5th positions.
Yeah, I think he was actually getting past Daniel Simmons,
no, you're
Johnny.
right.
So he's caught that 2 seconds gap almost immediately, has Ben Powney. So how much further can he get? Can he get himself up onto the podium? Because he's not that far away from this battle for 2nd. I think Simmons has got a problem though. He's slowing as they come out of the banking and up towards Church Corner. So a real shame there. You can see on your screens now a slowing Daniel Simmons, and Lucas Batt's lost a place actually to 99 Martin Shelton, but that may not last very long. And for 2nd, Lissus is up the inside. He's tried this earlier in the race and run a little wide. This time, though, he's got the car turned in much better than David Mason as Daniel Simmons pulls off the road into retirement, which is a real shame to start the weekend for him.
Hence my surprise that Powney was quite as close to Simmons as he was at turn 1, but that unfortunately explains it. It's gone all a bit Scott Littell, as it did in the first race for him. Similar place to be slowing as well, certainly coming to grief on the run towards Rocket. So we're left with effectively 3 now for 2nd position. Martin West 2 seconds to the good at the start of this lap. It may have even increased yet further. 3 minutes and change still to go. And here into the hairpin arrives Jonathan Liciter in 2nd place ahead of David Mason. There is a significant chunk of debris though on the road, and that is at the banking, I reckon, rather than the hairpin.
I think it was a mudguard, which isn't the first time in these types of races you'll see one of those around. But that battle that we watched into the hairpin, I think saw Lucas Batt drop away. There's 2 laps to go, I reckon, for the leaders who come up across the line. And Powney has caught that group really very quickly. So a podium is on, and Ben Powney looks up the inside of David Mason, who just about holds that position. Mason, who he didn't see on the podium at Croft, he'd like to put that right this weekend at Anglesey. But how quickly Ben Powney has caught him, you'd think David Mason's position might be at risk here, Johnny.
Liciter, again, fully sideways over the curbs on the exit of turn number 1, but did just about tidy it up enough to get good momentum towards the banking. They're now heading through Church Corner and into the hard stop at the top of the hill for Rocket. Liciter, Mason in the all-white 43, and then Powney in the copper-coloured with black mudguards 37. Smart helmet design for Ben Powney as well, and he is homing in, certainly on a podium finish here. It might even be good enough for 2nd, but he's going to have to get his sleeves rolled up in the remaining 2 minutes or so. Might be able to squeeze another lap out of it, of course, depending on where they are when the clock is very close to 0. But Powney now all over the back of David Mason. Mason didn't get the ideal exit out of Siemens. Will have to try and defend here, but it's too late. Here comes Powney up the inside of the hairpin to get 3rd for the moment and to secure 3rd position.
Yeah, so this second half of the race has gone really well, hasn't it, there for Ben Powney. So he's up into 3rd, but is he going to stay there? Because David Mason, using the toe, makes his way up the inside here into the final corner and slots back ahead. If he can keep the exit pretty tight, he might be okay. But Ben Powney's just about got him. Oh, and he could just backed out at the last second, didn't he? Not to run into the back of David Mason, who defended towards the inside of the corner. But it's not over yet as we go on to the final lap of the race.
So Mason's missing one mudguard, front right, I reckon. Lister's just come across the line missing his front left. That went for a Burton last time down the straight between Hairpin and Bus Stop, and actually nearly flew in the direction of the third, fourth place cars. How much corrective steering was Jonathan Lister putting in there through Church Corner? These tyres are very durable, but it's a warm day out there, and it's almost as if the tyres are just right on the top of the track surface with very little grip on offer through the fast right-hander at Church. They're heading now into the slow left-hander, the first portion of Rocket, and this is the place that is most likely to change for me in the dying stages of the first Yokohama, the first AimShop.com Ma7da Championship, I should say. And these cars then running still in third and fourth places, but Powney looking the quicker. Is he running short of opportunities? Because this is the last lap now, Josh. Yeah, just 2 corners to go. There you can see Martin West on his way to winning for the first time in the AimShop Ma7da Championship. After winning the low-cost championship in the past. Second looks to be going the way of championship leader Jonathan Lister. The third position, though, Ben Powney gets a very good exit out of the hairpin. He draws up to the right-hand side of the circuit. We've seen Mason run wide here, but he's on the inside this time into the bus stop. But for the 4th round of the championship, the victory goes away of Martin West, who's very pleased with that. Second is Jonathan Lister, and David Mason, I think, is the most pleased of all. As he punches the air, he's on the podium, and he holds off Ben Powney after a great battle towards the end. What's happened behind? Well, for 5th position, it's just as close for Martin Shelton, who narrowly beats Lucas Batt. And then in 7th position was David Bowen, who's had a really good run. In 8th position will go the way of Daniel Court. And then for 9th position, almost side by side across the line here as well, Imran Khan in his first race in this car finishes 9th, just ahead of Ayrton Rogers, who has had a much better time here as well than at Croft last month. In 11th position across the line went Matt Groh, a gap to Peter Wood, who was involved in a battle with Ian Deves, who I think is another driver having his debut in the championship today. And then yet another battle across the line, a change on the last lap. Callum Barnes gets himself up ahead of Lewis Pentstone-Smith. And then Steve Gross, I think, is the one remaining car who's a little bit further behind than the rest. But great racing there from the Ma7da Championship, and proper racing as we expect from the 750 Motor Club. It's really only Steve, sadly, who had nobody to fight with, because you say the rest of them all coming across the line in gaggles and in various states of disrepair. But as you said, we're used to that. If you're not missing at least one mudguard, you weren't trying hard enough. Let's take a look at the results then for the 4th round of the AimShop.com Ma7da Championship, and it was Martin West who took the victory by just under 1.6 seconds over Jonathan Lister. David Mason, his first podium of the season, took 3rd. Ben Powney, 4th after challenging Mason at the end of the race. 5th, the rest of the rest, was Martin Shelton. After a great battle, he beat Lucas Batt and David Bowen. 8th position went the way of Daniel Court, who also at the end of the race didn't have anyone to play with. For 9th, Imran Khan, he beat Ayrton Rogers, both taking their first top 10. Matt Groh was just outside in 11th. Peter Wood, Ian Deves and Callum Barnes completed the top 14. With Lewis Pentstone-Smith and Steve Groves, the 2 remaining finishers, with Daniel Sibbons with a problem retiring towards the end. But we get to enjoy the AimShop.com Ma7da Championship again tomorrow, so that's something very much to look forward to. And then sort of the sister series, the low-cost championship, we'll be seeing later on for the original Ford Crossflow cars. They have 3 races over the weekend, so slipstreaming action very much to be enjoyed around this layout. So in a moment, the top 3 will head down into Parc Ferme, and this time Andy McEwen have a few more moments to be able to chat to our top 3, because we'll be going into a lunch break next, and then the racing this afternoon beginning about 1:30, and we have 6 races to look forward to then. But for Martin West, it was his first victory in the Ma7da Championship at Croft. He had a 2nd and a 3rd and a retirement with a problem. Obviously, those problems very much been sorted for this weekend, and coming out on top by a decent margin in racing like this, 1.6 seconds. And down with him in Parc Ferme is Andy McEwen.
Well, fantastic race as ever from the Ma7da Championship. Top 3 drivers behind me. Let's see if we can grab a word with our race winner, Martin West there. Martin, congratulations. Started at the front, finished at the front. That makes it sound a lot easier than it was.
Yeah, it all got a bit close up on, I think it was the first lap turn corner, you know, nothing malicious. It's just cold tyres and everyone got a bit close, so I think I dropped back a few places, but just try and concentrate, get your head back down, and knew it was quick in qualifying, so just try and replicate that pace a bit, and away we went, sort of thing. So, but like I said, they wouldn't go away. They were always just not far enough to be comfortable away, sort of thing. But no, enjoyable race. Yeah, enjoyed that one. Just a bit warm.
Yeah, everyone's saying that today. It's a bit toasty down here at the moment, isn't it? No, exactly. Much warmer than Anglesey normally is. Difficult to lead in a race like this, isn't it? Because you know that slipstream's quite strong. If you make a small mistake, then they're going to pounce.
Yeah, these are new tyres for this year, and we're all still playing to get them optimum. But after about 6-7 laps, they start going like jelly babies on the back, and I'm struggling, but luckily, obviously, they're struggling as well. So you're just trying to hope, manage it, just don't make a silly mistake. That's just what it was today. Try not to make a silly mistake. But just like to say hello to my wife and my son and Tree, all helping out at home. They've just moved house. We got the keys on Friday, but I was allowed to come and play the weekend. So I'm probably not in the best books, but they're all back home decorating. So hello to you all.
Excellent. I think you've definitely got the right idea there, Martin. Now, Jonathan Lister was second place. Remember, Jonathan was the dominant driver last time out at the season opener at Croft. Jonathan having to settle for second place here at Anglesey. Some more good points then.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic result for me. I mean, Westy and Dave, they're just a bit quicker than us today, so we need to find something. But yeah, it just shows you how good this championship is. I mean, it's fantastic racing. So, if anyone out there wants to come and race, come and get in touch, because it's really good fun. So, there's good points for the championship. So, I'm really pleased.
It is good fun racing, although round here it's a bit narrower, a bit more technical than some of the other circuits that we race at. Does that require a slightly different mindset than usual?
Yeah, you've got to be a bit careful. I think in the first lap I had to apologise to Westy because I went up the inside. I knew he was quicker than me, so I was like, I've got to get in front of him. So we both locked up and went wide. It was a bit mean of me, so I did apologise, but that's racing sometimes. But yeah, no, you do have to be a bit careful. The racing's really clean with these guys. There's a lot of respect, so it was good.
Excellent. Jonathan Lister then second place in that race, and we're now looking for David Mason, who is down this way somewhere, I believe. There he is. Appears like magic. David, congratulations. Third place finish for you there. It was close at the end though.
Yeah, it was. I knew Ben was going to push it all the way because he keeps saying he's down on power, but we know he's not. And yeah, it's really good. So yeah, pretty made up. So
it's one of those, isn't it? The drivers like to whinge that their cars are a bit slow, but when you're out there racing, they're all so even, aren't they?
Oh, I've used every excuse, like engine, gearbox, diff, you name it. I've used every excuse, but so far it's coming together. So hopefully it'll be good. So one more to go tomorrow, and then eventually venture home. So yeah, good.
Third step of the podium, then. What do you think the chances are of getting up there into at least second place? I mean, you weren't a million miles off at the end, but it's finding a way through, isn't it?
They've just Martin. They've just stepped up so much this year. It's so hard, but it's good. I mean, we went on a rolling road last week with James there. All the cars were identical, so that's what we signed up to do, and that's what we're getting. So yeah, happy with that.